Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
So folks, what was more disgraceful earlier this month in Hamilton, Ontario? The fact that a mob of cancel culture enthusiasts tore down the statue of our first Prime Minister, Sir John A. Macdonald, or that members of the Hamilton Police Service simply allowed this travesty to happen, merely observing the vandalism rather than doing anything to prevent it. Then again, Hamilton is a very weird place indeed when it comes to law enforcement. For example, last year, Hamilton police did not warn residents that a notorious pedophile was living in a halfway house located near schools and playgrounds. The cops were too concerned about his privacy rights or something. And more recently, Hamilton police and Hamilton bylaw enforcement have been ticketing and in some cases violently arresting peaceful anti-lockdown demonstrators at Hamilton City Hall. Why? No protesters with the Black Lives Movement were treated this way last summer, that's for sure. Now, their disdain for anti-lockdown demonstrations extends to certain members of the media too. Case in point, my colleague Efren Monsanto. He's received numerous tickets for simply chronicling the demonstrations. Why? Last I checked, journalism is not illegal in Canada. Well, not yet at least. And I too received a ticket in Hamilton for lack of social distancing a while back, which is to say I got shockers within 2 meters of a person that I was interviewing. That apparently makes me the modern day version of Typhoid Mary when it comes to Hamilton bylaw enforcement. Indeed, a few days later, I received an email. It indicated I was being served with a ticket for a whopping $560. Now, at first I thought this was a joke. Whoever heard of being served by email? Usually service is conducted by a peace officer or at the very least by a courier. And yet here was this electronic notice of a violation sitting in my inbox, sent by bylaw officer Ranjani R.J. Reddy, she, her. By the way, the ticket I received is known as an administrative monetary penalty system ticket. Translation, you cannot fight this ticket in a court of law. I reached out to Ranjani R.J. Reddy, she, her, to see if she had ticketed any of the thugs who tore down the Sir John statue. She never got back to me. Perhaps she, her is working on she, her's gender pronouns. That's of the utmost importance these days when it comes to Snowflake Nation. And so it is that yet another Sir John A. Macdonald statue bites the dust while the authorities simply turn a blind eye to the carnage. This, of course, only embodies the cancel culture mob to further eradicate history by tearing down other statues in the months and years to come. And hey, why not? Unlike protesting against lockdowns, there's no penalty for such wanton vandalism. Oh, by the way, after the dust settled and the smoke cleared, police finally laid charges against one of the rancid ringleaders of this mob. Miguel Martin Avila Valarca faces 1 count of mischief over $5,000. Yep, that's it. But will the city restore the statue and erect it yet again? Well, here's what Hamilton Mayor Fred Eisenberger stated in an emailed statement, quote, "We understand the need for freedom of speech against topics that are meaningful and important. However, truth and reconciliation is not about destruction, vengeance, or retribution. It is about building positive relationships through respectful dialogue and collaboration to effect informed action. Nothing justifies vandalizing and damaging public property," end quote. Now, the mayor is saying all the right stuff, don't get me wrong, but conspicuously absent is any message of restoring the statue. I mean, if it were up to me, folks, I'd commission a new Sir John edifice that is twice as large And if it has to be wrapped in razor wire to protect it from the cancel culture goons, so be it. After all, today, tearing down Sir John A. statues, well, that's the in thing to do by certain far-left jackals, jackasses, and jabronis. But when all the Macdonald statues have been eradicated, who's next? Oh, don't worry, the progressive piranhas are just getting started because we are allowing them and enabling them. Bottom line, we can't allow thugs deciding what is and is not appropriate based on their own thuggish mindsets. We have the rule of law. We live in a democracy, and the law and democracy should be respected, not desecrated. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, the election campaign is in full swing. Do you trust the mainstream media to deliver the straight goods? I sure don't. So that being the case, please go to realreporters.ca, that's realreporters.ca, if you're able to make a donation so that Rebel News can continue to bring you the other side of the story.